Do you think Dorinda is going to give Sandoval one of her famous Dorinda-isms on Traders? And if so, what do you hope it is?
Oh, I highly expect it.
Okay.
And I hope she calls him a pigeon. And she says, pigeons don't fly with eagles. So go back to L.A. and get your breadcrumbs.
Oh, that would be good. I just hope she does clip.
Clip.
All right. Now, we have a lot of things to go through this episode. It is probably our most exclusive episode yet. No, it is.
Bunch of trinkets.
Trinket? No. What's a trinket?
Little trinkets and things.
No. No.
Nuggets.
Nuggets. If they don't know you, they won't know that.
Okay.
But are you ready to get down to reality?
I'm ready. Let's get down to reality.
Welcome to Down to Reality. I am your host. My name is Ro, also known on social media as Reality Ops. And today we have my co-host, my
Hubs.
Hubs.
Back at it again.
And to clarify, Hubs is a husband
Yes.
of mine. A husband. I have many apparently.
Oh, a husband of yours.
Hubs is my husband. Because we forget to say that, and we need to explain that in case people think it's your name. Like we said, somebody thought Hubs was Lindsay Hubbard on the podcast once, but then we got a follower from that, so that was good.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Anyway, also
new song, love it.
Since we changed up the podcast a little bit, we felt we should have a new song, and it's Bop.
It's a bop.
Let's talk about how this podcast is going to go. If you are new here, happy to have you. Usually we do our intro with some news that we're going to talk about, and I will share a little bit. Then we do our recaps or talk about the different shows. And then at the end, we have the latest and greatest news where we give you like the last minute news of the week. I always come back like right before releasing the episode and add anything that's important. This time it's a little different. I was able to get some exclusive information regarding the whole drama situation between Sandoval, Billie Lee, Victoria, Kyle Chan. That is at the end of the podcast. I know that some of you probably won't be able to like wait to get there and you want to just listen to that.
Jump right to it.
And that's fine. I understand that. Just know if you listen to that first and you've never been here before, the tone is very different because it's just me on my own and I'm just laying things out and it's a very confusing thing to understand. So I did my best with it. But come back, listen to Summer House recap thoughts if you have time. We also recorded The Valley, and that was part of this episode, but the episode was like 3 hours long with that. And so we didn't want to do that again. We decided, forget it. Last minute, we just cut it all out, and that's coming on the separate episode this week. Because Billie Lee is having another podcast that is releasing Wednesday, I will add my thoughts on what she said there to that. If you don't know about the drama that's been going on, most of you are here from my social media, so go check out my page. I made a playlist on TikTok and on Instagram. I have a highlights where you can follow the whole story and what's been happening. But just to put it really quickly, basically, Joe made a statement saying that Billie Lee had to set boundaries. Victoria then made a comment saying Billie Lee wasn't the one who had set boundaries. And then Billie Lee had a podcast about it, making a lot of claims. And then Kyle Chan and Victoria went back and did a live Up and Adam live and refuted what they said. And it was just this whole thing. So if you are interested in hearing that first, you can skip the middle section and go to the end and hear that and hear all the new exclusive information I was able to get. And I have been working for days on this. So it's a lot. But if you do that first, just please come back, right?
Come back for Summer House.
Yeah. And if you've never been here before, I definitely suggest listening to the episode before this so you can get a feel of what it's usually like. We usually do talk a little bit more about deeper topics. Like we always include some therapy and mental health stuff within the episodes.
Yeah.
And that's good to hear. Also, so you know, this intro, the Summer House section, the news at the end were all recorded on separate days. And on some of them, I think I even say the days so you can hear it. So it's just going to sound a little bit of like a different tone for each section. Okay, quickly before we jump in, though, you heard in our intro, it was announced officially that Sandoval is on Traders. If you listen to our podcast, you heard the Easter eggs about this several weeks ago. There were two quite ridiculous ones. The second one was super obvious.
Yeah.
Dorinda's going to be there with him. Dolores is going to be there.
Wells,
Sierra, and we're going to talk about a blind during this also about Lindsay going. Chanel, we just started watching Real Housewives of Dubai. Very good, must say.
Ian, right? Chanel Ian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
I heard Bob the Drag Queen is so good, and we need to watch RuPaul's because everybody keeps telling me.
Yeah.
My sister has told me like it's her favorite show ever, so we're gonna watch that so that we're ready for Traders. Anyway, that was exciting. Okay, so now let's get into everything. Anything else before they go?
No, hope they enjoy it.
Wish them luck.
Good luck.
Summer House reunion finale. Just let's talk about that. First of all, the finale. The hug between Lindsay and Carl. So I think people this is how I read it. Tell me what you think. It was beyond cringe, but you watched it with me. So, I mean, you heard my thoughts out loud.
Yeah.
But I read it as she was so upset by him and the way she felt like gaslighted by him that there was no way she could give her warm energy for that hug. Hold on. Sorry.
You leave one of those in one time.
No, I'm not leaving. We just had to edit out like a major. I had some seltzer. We had to edit out a major. I'm known to burp.
Major's an understatement.
It's like if you've heard Will Ferrell and Elf, that is me.
Yes.
Would you say? I would say.
Oh my God, did you hear that?
I would say that's pretty comparable. His is a little more excessive, but mine is not too far. It's like 75% of that girth of burp.
There's bass to it.
Okay. And I will not share it for you guys. He keeps trying to convince me to leave one in. No, I will not do that. Anyway, she had no feeling involved in that hug because she was like so hurt. And he's like, give me a hug. And she's like, how can you expect her to give you a hug when you just unleashed on her? And now she's supposed to be warm and soft and fuzzy for you like a little freaking teddy bear. Fucking no, sir.
Not going to happen.
And so it really pissed me off because I see both. I'm mostly Team Lindsay on this. I see a little bit. I understand Carl's perspective a bit, but let's just go right into the reunion and all our thoughts.
Yeah.
I feel like Lisa Vanderpump says, wussy pussy.
What's a pussy?
He should have talked to her throughout the summer.
Throughout the summer. What are you doing?
He should have told her through the summer. He should have let her know. Like he was telling everyone but Lindsay. Here's my final assessment. This man almost passed out the night before he proposed to her. No, I'm sorry. Why did I say almost? He passed out.
He did, right?
Yes. The night before he proposed to her, or 2 nights before, whatever it is. No, that is a telltale sign that your body is really worried and doesn't feel it's right. You should not have gotten on your knee to propose to her. So do I feel bad for him? No. Because this was his doing. He knew who he was proposing to. He knew who he was engaged to. He knew who he was agreeing to marry. He was best friends with her for years. I feel slightly bad about certain things, and I will explain that. But, sir, you proposed to a girl who is not quote unquote soft. She is a strong B, and she knows what she wants. She's very direct. And I have to say, though, I'm not always like the biggest fan of Lindsay. I think she's sometimes sneaky. That's for sure. Okay. I'm not going to deny that.
We've thought that in past seasons.
But I do think that she has a mushy, gushy heart in there. And I think she cares about people. I just think she presents a certain way. I think she's had life experiences that have made her hard.
Yeah.
So it kind of annoys me that he uses like it as a negative thing. She had the issues with her mother. She didn't have her mother in her life. That makes things very difficult. She felt abandoned. So, Carl, if you had not been sure about proposing to her and thought there was a chance it might not work, you should have never proposed because that is more abandonment. And that's why I got really pissed off about it. I feel for him in a sense that I don't think Carl knows what he wants. I think that he is very confused with what he wants in life. I think he struggles a lot with his decisions and the path he wants to take. I think that there's a lot of inner things that are really sad that have happened to him
Yeah.
that he's had to, deal with and that he maybe hasn't dealt with, and I feel for him in that way because it's like he clearly struggles so much. He wouldn't be turning to substances ever in the past if he didn't struggle. And so I feel for him there, but I don't feel for him with this situation. I think it was wrong what he did to Lindsay. I think it was wrong even saying after the fact, like, oh, I wasn't sure if like we were, going to, I didn't think we were going to break up. I thought you would like open your arms and say, yeah, like put her there, buddy. What was it? What do
I
you want
mean,
her to say? Like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what?
yeah, I don't. I mean, unless they filmed a different version, that's not what we saw. We saw like he was going right into that to end it.
To end it.
To end it.
Lindsay's reaction was strange. It was very, like, non-reactive, I feel. Like, I expected her to be more angry or expected her to cry, but maybe I think, she might have been in shock,
I the way
confused.
yeah, like the way I took it, I thought she might have just been like a little bit caught off guard in the moment, in shock. She had found out that morning from him that they were going to film.
We found things out on the after show.
That was on the after show, yeah. So probably just like wondering all this after the season's over, like why are we filming? What's this conversation? So I think she was
Right.
just caught off guard in general
Mhm.
in that moment.
Yeah.
She wasn't blindsided over the summer because we saw all the fights, and you have to have some hints that something is
Yeah,
not
I
right.
think that she just shouldn't have used the word blindsided. However, I can understand how she felt blindsided. But I think using the word blindsided, it's so annoying because if you use certain words and people will come at you and be like, "Oh, she said she was blindsided and she wasn't." And then now Lindsay's wrong because she used the word blindsided. But in fact, if you're watching it, it's clear that he was never direct with her with his feelings. And I do fault him for that. And what I would like, and I think he has said this actually after, he said this on different things that, looking back, he does realize that he could have handled things differently. And they were asked on the reunion, like, who thinks that Carl is scared of Lindsay? And they all raised their
All raised
hand,
hand, even Carl did.
including Carl, except for Jesse. Jesse, like, wasn't sure. And I thought Jesse's response was good, actually. I can't remember what he said. Do you remember what he said?
Jesse had said that he didn't think Carl was afraid of Lindsay. He thought that he was afraid of Lindsay's reactions.
Okay, which is the same thing, but yeah,
I think
I
it's
could
just the
see
way you
that.
sort of phrased it there.
Like, not afraid as her.
And then I
That's
think that's when Carl jumped in and said that he does avoid, he's a people pleaser. He avoids being in situations with those types of reactions.
okay.
So I think
When
that's probably why he went down that path of like not directly addressing things with Lindsay,
mhm.
but talking about it with basically everyone else.
When Carl said that, like, I did understand it more. Like, I kind of get annoyed sometimes with people using the people pleasing, like, people pleasing eaters. Like, we're all like, what's the deal? Everybody's a people pleaser all of a sudden, just like everyone's a narcissist. Please save narcissists for actual narcissists because there are quite a few of them, and then they need that important title. We don't want to water down narcissism,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Don't
the people pleasing, I feel like when he was speaking about it, I'm like, it kind of makes sense because, like, his family seems like a family who doesn't really address things as much either, until well, his stepdad, like, spoke very clearly about what he
he was
thinks.
very clear.
That might
Yeah.
be different from the way he grew up, I don't know. It just feels like they kind of, like, brushed things under. Even his mom, like, knew about the concerns with Carl, but then she was just smiling and all that with Lindsay, which I don't know, my family's Italian, we're so freaking direct, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
You call your family
The family of ostriches, stick our head in the ground, pop back up, and is the problem gone? Well,
right, pretend that it didn't happen, so it's like the way that the way your person is brought up, like, really affects them in their future, and so I can understand why he was just like, "This isn't how I handle things, I don't want the confrontation, I don't want this, I don't want that." Watching past seasons, Carl was pretty confrontational, however, we know that he was having issues with drugs and alcohol. So that could be why a different side of him came out. Maybe like that let me, maybe that, oh, that's a good point, right? Like, that brought out his inner voice wanting to break out and say
Mm,
certain
yeah,
things. I was really, you know what? Damn it. I was really mad at the way Carl talked to Lindsay on that finale when he was, like, super aggressive out of nowhere. I hate that. I hate when that happens, but I'm sitting here right now and realizing that makes sense. If he, like, always holds his feelings in, it's on him, though. I'm not putting it on Lindsay. And then it finally comes out whether he's having some type of substance to get him to, be brave, which is a
yeah.
terrible way to look at substances, but I'm just saying that, what is it called? People call alcohol something. Well, they say it's like a truth serum, but what's the, I'm not saying he was drinking alcohol then, I don't think he was at all. I'm just saying
Loose lips sink ships, like that?
no, no. Again, that is a appropriate saying, but it's
Yes.
not about alcohol.
I thought like loose lips, like you're a talker when you're alcohol,
No, it's
the
not. You
talker
thought
comes
loose
out.
lips was about alcohol, that saying? Loose lips sink ships was about alcohol?
Yeah,
Mm-mm. Did you really think that or no?
I thought it could. I'm being
No.
serious. No, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not. If you wanna listen to a prior episode, we have discussions about how
I wasn't trying to do a bit there. I really thought
I
like
didn't think you were trying to do a
like
bit. Why do you this is not a comedy show. He thi if my husband could, he would have a comedy podcast with dad jokes. Um,
uh,
which you could, I told you.
is this my jumping off platform?
Go ahead, this is the start. Loose lips sink ships just means that you say too much, and then you cause a lot of damage, but it doesn't mean with alcohol.
But
It
you
does
could be
apply.
yeah, okay,
Yes,
so it
mhm.
applies, yeah, with
Right.
alcohol.
Definitely half credit though, because it's really more about, like, not giving secret information or confidential information. But why were we even saying that? You distracted me now.
So you were talking about maybe some of that is what would help used to help Carl speak
Oh,
more.
right. So, the might have had him to kind of, like, have the courage that he is afraid to have on his own. And so I got mad at the way he acted and reacted. I think it's gross behavior, but then I'm thinking, "All right, fuck, you just have, like, a lot of things to deal with." Like, you have to work on your ability to speak when you're feeling things. Don't let it bottle up. Like, I used to say to my students, and I say this to our daughter, "Think of, like, a balloon. If you just keep filling it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit with, like, with your feelings, your emotion, your anger, eventually, if you fill it too much, what's it gonna do?
It's gonna pop.
It's gonna pop. Or you let the air out all at once, and then it, like, goes all over the place and goes nuts. So, I always tell them, like, it's really good to, you know, to not do that, or if you have a lot of emotion to, like, take your time, let it out, speak clearly, and not just, like, let that balloon, like, just go nuts. That was Carl. So,
Yeah.
let's just instead of letting it do that, right, let's, like, try to do this gradually and get our feelings out as they happen and be real and not try to just protect people, protect your he's looking at it as just protecting people, what he's not looking at it as he's also protecting himself because he doesn't wanna deal with that, and
Yeah, of
that's not
course.
right, and that's not fair to Lindsay.
Yeah.
Do I think Lindsay's a perfect little angel? No. Do I think anybody's a perfect little angel? No. But and I'm so glad they're not getting married. They're not a good fit.
No.
I never thought they were a good fit. We used to watch scenes of them and being like, "Oh my god, this is so cringe and fake." It didn't feel right.
Oh, last season was, yeah, real cringe.
Very fake.
Yeah.
So, I think they were both trying to force something to happen that just wasn't happening,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe? Alright.
So, better for both of them, but not great the way it went down.
What do you think about West? I don't know if you have a lot of feelings about West. I loved West, and I kept saying on the podcast in the beginning of doing this podcast when we had time to talk about Summer House until Vanderpump got to be so crazy. I was like, "West, please don't change. Please don't let us down. Like, you're so good. Please."
I don't know what to read of West. I loved him throughout the season. Thought he was hilarious. Thought he's a great addition to the house. But now,
And I said this on the podcast, and now people are saying it. Oh, other people see the same thing. Remember, I'm like, he reminds me of somebody. I don't know who it is. And then it hit me, Robin Williams. But now other people think the same thing, that he looks like
mm,
he reminds them of Robin Williams, one of my favorite people
yeah, yeah,
ever.
yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, and then now we see in the reunion, we're learning about the relationship with him and Ciara, and kind of what happened after the cameras, and they were together for a wedding and Thanksgiving, I think, and then he basically then kind of called it off before the show aired. But I think he kind of used a bit of a wussy pussy excuse, right?
Yeah, I mean, it
Like
came out like he was the fame got to him.
the fame,
The
I think the
girls in the
fame
DMs.
got to him, probably the girls in the DMs. He even said the fan base is, primarily women. And I think it got to him a little bit. It's his first season on TV.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of hoping he bounces back next season.
I don't know. I just don't know if he does have the F boy I can't tell if, like, if it's that or if it's F boy. His dad was very upset at him because he loves Sierra. They
Yeah.
love Sierra. I mean, how could you not love her? I loved when she spoke about how she just doesn't, like, give herself,
Oh,
to
yeah.
everyone.
Super respectful.
It was super respectful, and not everybody feels that way, and that's okay. We all feel differently about it. I just thought it was cool that she spoke about it because you don't hear that a
You
lot,
don't,
and
yeah.
it was very like, I thought it was cool that she wasn't afraid to say that. She's very traditional. I don't know, I liked that she said
And she was
that.
super guarded and she was very clear. Like she didn't want to jump into it. She got hurt last time with Austin, right? It was Austin.
Yeah.
And she went into it slower with Wes here, and they were building a good relationship, what it seemed like.
Well, here's how I feel, like, if I think about it,
I
like
think he dragged her along a little bit.
you mean
I
after
think so. I
filming?
mean, no, but even in filming, like towards the episodes towards the end, we hear, he's still kind of messaging other
No, but do
girls
you
and like
think in the beginning that had she gone full force more to him I think they both, like, weren't full force.
they were both
I
had
don't
like
know,
feet
maybe
in the
they
water. They
both
weren't sure. They were
liked each
scared.
other, but didn't even, like each other enough. Do you
Maybe.
know what I mean? Like, maybe they both just didn't like each other quite enough, or she did and would just wanted him to push more, and he wasn't pushing enough.
Yeah. What I don't agree with is what Ciara said, that she thinks it was convenient for Wes to jump into a thing with her because to almost like attach himself to someone in the house, being his first season.
You don't
It's
agree
going
with
to
me,
open
meaning you
other.
don't think he did
I
that?
don't think he did that. No, I thought he was genuine, and I don't get f boy energy from him. I don't feel like
I don't know, we say it takes, like,
I.
3 seasons to figure somebody out, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
What do
All
you
right.
think about his mushroom haircut today?
Thought it was fine. I wouldn't have it, but it fits his look.
Okay, because I thought it was, like, circa 1996. It was not my it
Not
was like
your
the boys I liked in 4th grade had that haircut. We're way past that.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas,
Yes, Jonathan Taylor Thomas did have that haircut.
JTT
Yes, JTT. Um, I
throwback.
yeah, I love good old JTT. He was on my walls.
Wait, can we jump into them saying that Lindsay was not a good friend for throwing Danielle under the bus about the
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
you
article?
had strong
That
feelings.
really rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
So, and they show the scene from last reunion where it was brought up, and Lindsay was denying it, that she didn't do it, and then they cut to Danielle. She's just sitting there being quiet.
Mhm.
To me, that's being a bad friend. If
Yeah,
you're being quiet, you're the one that did it, and
right.
you're letting your other friend take the fall.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Really? And now she finally comes out this season. She's trying to clear her name from that. It got brought up or whatever, and she's like, "No, that wasn't me."
Right.
And now they're pointing at her like, "Oh my god, I can't believe she did that. Threw her friend on the bus." And then Danielle's saying like, "Well, yeah, I didn't tell you, Paige, because I didn't think it was going to come out." Like that, I did not see. I did not see the justification for the comments coming towards Lindsay there
Yeah.
around her being a bad friend for throwing someone on the bus when she's clearing her name because her friend was quiet while
Right.
she was taking the hit.
No, I agree. I think it was
Stupid.
fine that she but I think the reason why they say that is because Lindsay also does things like Paige was saying that I don't remember what she said she did. She called somebody. I have to look it up. I should have really done that before, but she
Oh,
Paige
there was an event, and Lindsay had called the friend or something to um, basically get involved or impact Paige's event there. I forget the story
yeah,
exactly.
sabotage, which I'm like,
Sabotage, yeah.
"No, she wouldn't do that." But then Lindsay's response wasn't very convincing, so
Yeah.
sound like maybe she was just pissed about something, and I don't know if
I
it
think,
was
I mean, a lot of things were coming at Lindsay in that first part of the reunion, so I think she was kind of just
listen,
trying to dance
Lin
around a little bit.
Lindsay is PR or was PR. I do think that Lindsay knows how to do certain things and save face and all of that. I will say that for sure. I do agree with you though that I think it was okay that she defended herself, especially because her and Danielle are kind of in this weird place now where they're obviously good friends again, but you can't really completely trust someone after, like, so much damage is done. Like, sometimes when there's something that's done that is so impactful, there's only so much trust you can have back towards a person.
Takes a lot of time.
So I understand that regardless, either of them on both sides, I feel like are gonna be, like, weary of things.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. West, I'm disappointed in. For me, I'm just like what I'm disappointed in is I felt so much joy from him, and I feel like he ripped it from us.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, this is great. He is so great to watch and light, and him and Jesse, like." But, if it's just not who he is, it's not who he is. I'm gonna give him time to
I
say,
don't
"You
think
know
it's
what?
irreparable.
Let's see.
I think
Let's see if
let's
he can redeem himself."
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We'll see what happens, and I do think he's a good character for the show.
Yeah, definitely a good character for the show regardless. We're just, like, really rooting for a good guy on one of these, like, younger Bravo shows because it does not happen. It just we keep wanting it. We keep wanting it, and we're still waiting. Alright,
Wait, do you want to mention Kyle crying really quick?
Kyle redeemed himself slightly because he did cry
He
when
was the only one
Sierra.
crying, I think, right?
I don't know. No, I think they were all a little emotional because
Yeah.
you could feel, like, I think Sierra is a very genuine person and has, like, very deep, big feelings, and I'm like, "Oh, Kyle's crying. Fine. I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with crying in the car because you're so upset about your girlfriend wanting to do her own thing and not doing what you want her to do." So annoying.
That's
This is
too
why
much
I hate
shit.
alcohol, though, because the reactions are so extreme. Like, okay, alcohol's fine in small doses, but the reactions are so extreme. And then you say stupid, stupid shit. And then you're on national television saying stupid ass
Yeah.
shit, making your wife look terrible. To me, that's something that I don't know if Amanda is going to ever, like, really get over watching him talk about her like that on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? You have to do a lot of fucking work in therapy to get over that. Like Kyle, but then as a couple, because I feel like that was so effed up. He threw her under the bus so bad,
Yeah.
did what Sandoval did, made her seem like a lazy piece of nothing, which what is up with this lazy word, people? There is something called depression, by the way, and there's other disorders that people could have that can be viewed as laziness. Here's something fun I learned. People aren't typically lazy. There's a reason for the actions. There are people who are unmotivated and can find motivation, but I just hate how he did that to her. There is a rumor out there. Dumois posted a blind, and it is the most ridiculous. I'm gonna read it to you guys. Did you hear this?
I didn't see it.
People are suspecting this is about Kyle and Amanda. There's a rumor out there that they divorced. Okay, so the Demois sorry, I'm wrong. This wasn't the one that was ridiculous. There was a ridiculous Demois blind that was really hard to read. This one wasn't as bad. Let me actually read the Demois, the ridiculous ones to you first because it's so weird. I'm inserting this post recording because I'm like, you guys need to hear how weird this is. It says, the pseudonyms, please, is pastrami on rye. Subject, were you blind or were you blindsided? Okay, so this is obviously about Lindsay. Message, looks like one bubbly Bravo star's attempt to deceive went flat faster than a glass of day-old Prosecco. This summer stunner thought she could house a little secret in this realm of deceit, but when a certain Bravo dame caught wind, she went berserk to producers. Once this pretty little liar was exposed, not only was she clipped from the show, but she was also replaced by someone who she's not only shared a roof with, but a beau with as well. Guess honesty really is the best policy, even when playing games. So people think the consensus here, I feel like I'm with the students, like, take a time to think, what do you think it's about? People think it's Dorinda finding out that Lindsay is pregnant. This is the main thought that I keep seeing. Lindsay is pregnant, and because of that, they replaced Lindsay with Sierra. But I don't know if that checks out because Lindsay is at Andrea's wedding right now in Italy, and it's the same exact time that they're filming The Traitors in Scotland, would she have been able to get a last minute trip to Italy and have like be another attendant at the wedding, get all the hotel, the flight, and all that? Although Andrea's wedding is apparently supposed to be the end of June. And because of the video that one of my followers, thank you, Jenna, that she sent, it's supposed to be end of June. So I don't know if she just ended up going earlier because she didn't have to film Traitors. And this is from, by the way, great account. Walter is upset on Instagram. They posted the blind for people, and somebody commented, I'm gonna need Lady Whistledown to relax. Thought it was so funny. I don't even understand how those rumors are out. But anyway, back to where we were in the original recording. It says, sip sips, let's cook. Okay, subject is let's cook. I almost said C-O-C-K because my eyes are blurry from reading so much on my phone today. This Bravo, you can see his face. This Bravo entrepreneur turned DJ. P.S. If anybody doesn't know, Kyle's dream is to be a DJ, and he was very mad at Amanda because Amanda all of a sudden doesn't want to work with him, and he might as well give up his alcohol brand and become a DJ.
That's what he wanted to do.
This Bravo entrepreneur turned DJ was seen getting extra close with someone who wasn't his partner during a night out following an event for his company. Is another breakup in the cards this summer? Maybe she has reason to not want him out on the town until 4 a.m. So, by the way, I'm reading this. That was from Demois, but I'm reading this post from Face Reality 16, who, if you don't follow them, they've got tea, okay? They were the ones to report Kyle and Morgan Wade, which I thought, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. No, there was a way. She was right. She, major investigator. She then got a DM, Face Reality 16, and the DM says, I saw Kyle at a restaurant in Midtown a couple weeks ago having dinner with 3 guys, one of them being Everett, cheersing to his upcoming divorce. Everett, if you don't know, is Lindsay Hubbard's ex-boyfriend from seasons, whatever, the beginning seasons, who another quite toxic relationship. I guess I'm realizing which relationships with Lindsay aren't toxic.
Was he the?
I just realized that.
Was he the? How many sandwiches have you made me?
How many sandwiches have you
That
made?
guy?
That's Erica Jane. That's how many fucks can how no, that's not him. That was Steve. What was his name? Steve-O. Not Steve-O.
Yeah, Steve-O.
What was the guy's name? Somebody else.
I don't.
The little guy. The guy who went on the slide with her.
Yeah.
I'm making him sound like a child. he wants to say, he needs sandwiches being made. He's to slide. He's little. No. Oh, I just look. Steven. That's why it sounds different. Steven. So this post, she was saying, like, at first she didn't know what to believe, but it's interesting that she got this blind. I don't know. They're blinds, okay? Which means that they don't have a name that's published. It's not like when somebody says this is a source that I'm confident in or anything like that. Kyle did respond to this second part about him being out and cheering for the divorce, saying it's bullshit. So that part of it might not be true. When I read this, I pictured it as maybe Kyle being like, oh, me and him, like, when he's stupid, he's like, here's the divorce, like, coming up because of them having problems. So I could definitely see that happening.
Fight and he could understand.
Exactly.
Like, oh, yeah. Oh, here's my divorce. She wants me home, but
yeah,
I'm still out or something. Just joking.
However, there is more.
Ooh, there's more.
Amanda. People were saying that Amanda deleted Kyle off her profile. I do have to add, I don't know if that's true. And I have noticed in the past, I don't feel like Amanda posts Kyle that much. There is some Kyle on there, though. But people are saying that. Another thing, a follower named Jenna, shout out to Jenna, she just messaged me tonight and she said, did you notice, because they're all at a wedding right now, and it seems like it's Andrea. I was about to say gorgeous Andrea. Sorry, Hubs.
That's okay. He is gorgeous.
He is gorgeous. Andrea's wedding. But he's a gorgeous human, too. Like, he's a nice guy and just incredibly good looking and brings people coffee in bed.
I mean, who doesn't like someone that brings them coffee in bed?
What more can you... Well, Sandoval also apparently did that, but Sandoval was quite different than Andrea.
A little bit.
Oh, I just realized before we're saying there's like no real good Bravo guys. There's a few, very few, but on these younger shows. But Andrea is definitely one of the good guys. And if he turns out not to be, I will have no faith. But they're at Andrea's wedding. He's getting married to Lexi right now in Italy, and a whole bunch of them are there. She had sent me a video from Paige that was on an Amazon Live where she said she has a wedding in Italy at the end of June. So I guess people are there early. There is no sign of Kyle and Amanda being there. My thoughts are, that's weird. Could they possibly not be there? I sound like Sheena, right?
And I was like,
Could they possibly not
are
be
you not
there?
tracking Kyle's location?
I should have met him at a Loverboy event and said, "Would you like to share locations with me?"
Yes.
And then I would know. But are they not there because the only reason why they wouldn't be there to me is because if they're separated, not divorced, but if they're separated and they don't want that to be public and they know there's going to be the pictures out there and all that, then they would not want to show that so soon. Get what I'm saying? Or they're just not there yet. But I would bet if you're in fucking Italy, you're gonna be posting those pictures because you're in
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
Italy, right? And Carl's posting. I mean, they're posting. Lindsay's there right now too. Carl and Lindsay, they're gonna be at an event together since this reunion. That's gonna be interesting. That'll be fun. I just think that we have to wait and see. But I've always said this. Like whenever people ask me, I say, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised because Kyle does not prioritize Amanda. And I think Amanda deserves to be prioritized. And do I want them to not be together? No, I would like him to prioritize her. But I don't know if he's ever going to be able to do that. I wish he would. I hope he does. But I think that he prioritizes himself and his business over her.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was true.
Yeah.
Hope it's not. You never know. But there's always that thing, right? Like where there's some smoke, there's fire. Like there are a lot of false rumors out there. Two things might be something.
Yeah. When is that wedding? End of the month?
Paige said end of June.
End of June.
So I don't know.
And they're there already?
Right now we're middle of June. Well, if
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
Italy, you're going to go
Yeah, that's true.
if you can. Unless you're talking about a different wedding, but I don't think so. Well, wait, let me see if Paige is. Hold on, give me a second. Let me see if Paige is posting. Paige posting. Oh, Paige is not in Italy yet, it looks like, from her post. So I guess, all right. So it's very possible Amanda and Kyle are just not there. Right? Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
But people ask me to cover this, a lot of messages about it, a lot. So let's wait and see. Next year, I plan to cover Summer House way more. Bravo, you need to separate Summer House and Vanderpump Rules. We talked about this before. We need space between. The space between. What are you laughing at? Do you know what song I was singing?
Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah. The space between. Quick real-time update as of Monday night. This is Ro reporting that Kyle has now landed in Italy, and Kyle is there meeting up with Carl and Andrea. No sign of Amanda yet. Okay, back to the program. All right, so we'll talk more Summer House with the next episode.
Are there 3 parts to this reunion?
No, there's only
There's
2.
2.
What a travesty. I mean, why? You tell me why there's only 2 parts. This show is talked about just as much, not just as much as Vanderpump, but it's one of their most talked about shows. Why do we only have 2 parts? What's up with them not giving enough money to people? Like, pay them for the extra part. That's what it is. It comes down to negotiations.
Pay for the extra part. There also should have been a Valley reunion.
Yeah, that was bullshit. That was another thing they didn't want to pay them yet. They didn't know how it would do. They didn't want to pay them. If you guys don't know, that's the reason why.
We should have just started a GoFundMe.
GoFundMe for the Valley reunion. I think there's much more important GoFundMe. I have such a pet peeve for people who do GoFundMes for shit that is not the most important shit to them. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go fund your bagel shop. Let me just say that. I'm not going to go fund your bagel shop. I would love for you to get a bagel shop. I would love it. You probably have such a great idea for a bagel shop. But if I'm comparing your bagel shop to somebody who needs money for cancer treatments or
people that went through something that was unexpected, that's a hardship on them now, like those are the GoFundMes where you want to help out.
Yeah.
Not ones that are like, hey, I need this excess thing in my life.
Right. And you know me, I'm one of those, I like give a little bit to a lot of
But to everyone, yeah.
But the point is I just don't feel like GoFundMe should be, I feel like they should be for the most important things. So we will not be setting one up for the Valley, but Bravo should be paying them because they are entertainment. So we'll talk about Summer House more with the next part. Okay, guys, if you follow our podcast, you know that usually at the end we have what we call the latest and greatest news, like It just happened because Baked by Melissa cupcakes that we love, they call them the latest and greatest cupcakes. So this is the latest and greatest news. And we usually add tea throughout the podcast and then at the end. And here's some tea that I didn't expect. So when the live happened on Friday, since that live, I talked to 5 different sources, 3 sources that I have never had a conversation with at all before. 2 of them whose names I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to go over this information with you. I want to be clear about this. I am a truth seeker. If you follow me, I always say I just want to find the truth, and I just want to hear the different sides and get the different stories and understand the situation better. I am not here to say that anyone is being the most truthful. I am not here to say if anybody is correct, who I believe right now. I am just going to say a few opinions about certain things, but I'm really just going to present all of it to you and let you guys decide what you think. And I truly believe that until we actually see evidence, if anything comes out, that we won't know. I truly believe until like the full story is out there, we should just take everything with a grain of salt. So the only person that I've had communication with before is Kyle Chan. He has commented on things. We've talked here and there in the DMs. After he was on Chris and Doty's podcast, I definitely got a different appreciation for him. I understood him completely differently. I also, as much as if you're new here, I'm not a fan of Sandoval because I am called in Ariana Stan. I do love Ariana. Ariana and Katie are my 2, okay? Love them. So I have not been a Sandoval fan, and I always thought it was funny, like when Kyle would laugh at certain videos that I would post of Sandoval, and I appreciated that about him, and it was clear to me that while he supports Sandoval and stays by him, and didn't want him to be on his own, and didn't want him to not have anyone, he calls him out on his BS. That's what I appreciate about Kyle. I am somebody who, like many of you, I'm sure, when you hear somebody is at their lowest point, no matter what they did, you don't want something bad to happen to them. And even though other people like Ariana couldn't and shouldn't be there for him, have to be there for him, she doesn't owe anything to him, neither do some other people. I love that he was there for his friend, regardless of what his friend did. I respect that. Does it mean I agree with everything with Kyle Chan? No. Would I have done the same thing with Kyle Chan and Ariana? And, and not telling Ariana or not pushing it more that he tells Ariana? No, but I also am not there in the situation. All I know is that because of Chris and Doty's podcast, because of him on Sandoval's podcast, he was like the only person who could make sense of Sandoval. Because of my experiences, because of other creators' experiences with him and how highly they speak of him, that's the only person who I said, when I saw the live, I said, I'm going to listen to what Kyle Chan says and be open to what happened, because Billie's podcast was one side of the story and I wanted to hear the other side of the story. I was interested in that. And like they say, there's 2 sides to every story, and then there's the truth, or the truth lies somewhere in the middle. So I really wanted to just like hear, and then there's also just perspectives of a situation. So I just wanted to hear both sides. Honestly, I'm just going to say right now, I think that there are truths on both sides. And then I think there are maybe like exaggerations on both sides and perceptions on both sides. But I don't know. And that's what we're trying to figure out. So I listened with open ears, open eyes. And yes, I watched that thing like 3 times. I tried to not look at the chat too much because I find that it was steering my perception of what I was seeing. So I looked minimally. In the beginning, I was like all into it. And then I'm like, no, I need to just focus on what they're saying. Let me just give you like an example of what I mean by that, by not letting it like influence me. Let's say you go to a museum or an art show or something, right? And there's a piece of art in front of you and you're next to a group of people and the people around you are going, oh my gosh, it's amazing. The colors, the composition. Oh my gosh, it's genius, right? So you're looking at the art and like maybe you're not getting, we're like, oh, this is good. This is good art. This is genius. Or you stop and you just like look at it differently, right? Or let's pretend there's a different group of people around you instead and they're like, what is this joke? What am I looking at? This is ridiculous. People are laughing at it. You're not going to take that art seriously, right? If you're not somebody who is versed in art, which I am not, you don't take it seriously. You would be like, oh, this is like stupid. But let's pretend there was no one around you. How you're looking at the art is going to be how you look at the art, because you don't have anyone around you to really influence the way you're looking at it. So you're able to just see it how you interpret how it is. So that's why, while I love chats, sometimes I do love them. They're fun, but it can get a little crazy. And I just was like, all right, I need to stop and just focus on what I'm actually seeing and hearing for myself. So just an example. Anyway, I was reading the whole situation as a lot of nerves. For Kyle Chan, English is his second language. And working with people and loving people who have English as their second language in my own real life, I know how it can be difficult to communicate certain things. So I didn't hold a lot of things that he was saying. I was really trying to just like make sense of everything. I also felt like they were beyond nervous. And it's really funny because today I saw a picture of where they said they looked like they were two hostages. And they did. They looked like they were hostages. And then they showed somebody behind them in the reflection. So I asked who was behind them, and I found out it was Kyle Chan's partner, who he's been with for many years. So that makes more sense. It was not like a Sandoval vampire or an alien. But it was funny when you watch the video from that perspective. Like, it looked ridiculous. It was alive. Like, I do this podcast. Let me tell you, it's not freaking easy to get our words out. I used to make fun of certain things I heard on podcasts. And once I did it myself, I'm like, oh boy, you say like all the time to myself. I even say, like Sandoval, which bothers me so much. It's just not easy. So I cannot imagine doing a live when you're already passionate and having to defend yourself and what you believe your truth to be, and knowing that the audience is against you, because let's be real, like, our Vanderpump audience is against Sandoval. So, Billy was saying things against Sandoval. For the first time, a lot of the Vanderpump viewership were like, oh, Billy, go Billy. And it was just a different experience. So I'm watching these two trying to just be open, okay? That's how I felt. You might hate that. I'm sorry, I'm telling you the truth with how I felt. That's all I can do. We all have our own opinions and perspectives, and this is just mine. I'm not saying it is the right one. I'm saying it's mine and how I viewed it. Now, after the live, I messaged Victoria because I felt, say what you want, I felt terrible. She was crying about her dad being in an accident. She talks about having a TBI and having speech issues and memory issues because of having a traumatic brain injury from a car accident. And I'm just like, this poor girl. Like, to be honest, I didn't, it's not that I didn't care for her. I didn't care at all, just because she's the new girl after Ariana. But when I watched her, I'm like, I feel for her. I feel so bad. I don't like to see anyone cry. And so I messaged her and I said, listen, I can't say I agree with you, but I can just say I'm so sorry. That was probably really hard to do. I hope you're okay. I feel so bad that you're so beat up right now. Like, the comments were brutal. We could be a brutal bunch as Bravo people. Let's be real. So I messaged her that, again, very clear that, I'm not saying I believe her or take her side or anything like that, just from a human perspective of, I hope you're okay. That was a lot. And she responded back, and then I'm like, let me just send her an audio because she said she was, I'll just say what she said. She said she was crying like since then. I forgot to say that. It was hours had passed by this time. She said she was crying since then. So I messaged her and I'm like, listen, it's okay. It'll be okay. Like, this will pass also. Those are really harsh things being said about you. I could understand why it was really difficult to have to do that and defend yourself. Again, I don't know you. I don't know if what you're saying is true. I might find other things out and completely disagree. I'm just saying I feel for you as a human being. And that was a lot. And the way I personally feel, you guys might know if you follow me, I understand Billy was upset about Victoria's comment. I just felt certain things were said that were so impactful and didn't need to be brought out. And it made me uncomfortable with the claims that were being said. So I can only imagine if I were somebody like Victoria and somebody was saying that about me and it wasn't true, let's pretend it wasn't true, I would need to defend my name. Like, how could I? That would be so hard to not defend your name. I don't care what PR tells you, that's so hard to do that. So I just thought, of course she's going to want to do this, you know? Is it the best thing to do? Probably not. The live was not a good choice. It was a very bad choice. A regular podcast would have been better to do than a live. Like if they just had done a recorded podcast. But, you know, I think they did what they thought they should do. I think Adam did a good job navigating it, but it was not an easy situation. I know you guys are just like, shut up and get to the tea. And by the way, it's going to be quite literally the tea. But I'm letting you know the backstory because I can't not do that. So she said she couldn't listen to the audio, like it wasn't working. And so she called me. And of course, I was shocked. And I answered the phone. It was FaceTime. And FaceTime, Instagram FaceTime, like, you know, I don't know what it's called. The Instagram video call. So I wasn't on video. She was on video and she was in the car. She was in the backseat of a car. And she's like, I'm getting out because people are telling me I should get out and, you know, get my mind off of it. So she was going with her friends somewhere. When she first started talking, she was very like nervous and upset. And again, I felt so bad. I was like listening to him, like, I feel so bad. And my husband's in the other room. You guys know him from the podcast. And he was looking at me like we just both felt terrible because she was very upset. And again, I don't know her. I could find out the worst things, but I'm just telling you how I felt on a human level at the time. So she said to me, she's like, I had a car accident. I'm sorry if my words are coming across like slurred. She's like, when I get worked up, it comes out especially, or when she gets nervous or whatever. She said she's sorry if she's like, you know, I know people were saying that I was slurred on the live. First of all, guys, I have a little bit of what's the word? I don't even know what the word is for what I have, to be honest with you. It's never been diagnosed or anything, but I stutter a little bit. It actually started when I was an adult, and I don't know what started it. Maybe some of you can relate to this, but I notice like it happens more when I'm thinking while I'm speaking, like rather than just not having to like think about something as I'm talking. And I edit a lot of them out of the podcast, so it takes me a little longer to edit. But I do have a little bit of a speech. I do have a little bit of a stutter and I repeat myself. So I think I felt for her even more because of that. And so when she first came on, I was like, I don't hear it. Like, she's like, I'm sorry. And I didn't hear it. But then a few minutes later, when she got more comfortable, it was like 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, she's talking so much more fluidly now. So I do understand what she meant about like she being nervous and it coming out more. And all of a sudden, I'm like talking to her and I'm like, this girl sounds, I'm just letting you guys know what she sounded like that night. Okay. This does not mean that I obviously have never met her. I don't know what she was like the next day. I don't know how she is on the daily. All I'm telling you is what I heard from her that night and what I saw. Very coherent, speaking very fluidly, making complete sense, just talking normally, like no issues whatsoever. She did not seem as flustered as she did on the live. I think on the live, she was just trying to defend her name and going all over the place. And as somebody with ADHD, I can understand speaking all over the place. Forgive me. It happens with me all the time. And I felt for her. When I got off the phone with her, like my husband said to me, she was so nice and so normal. And I'm like, I know, she was very nice and very normal. And also her eyes were like incredibly blue and pretty. But that's not of importance. Anyway, I talked to her that night and I talked to her Monday. So you're getting this Tuesday because it was supposed to come out Monday. And then I wanted to just clarify certain things and make sure I fully understood it. And so I did. I wrote it all down, typed it, sent it to her to make sure that she was okay with everything, because this is tricky. And I wanted to focus. I'm not sharing everything. I'm sharing from Victoria. And I'm also going to share a little bit from T. T I talked to as well. T was also incredibly easy to talk to. I asked some questions, got some answers. and she was very open and willing to share, because I really wanted to make sure, like I always tell you guys, to get both sides and hear, the different perspectives. I also wanted to cross-check some dates. So I talked to T, I talked to Victoria, I talked to Kyle Chan, and I talked to 2 other sources. Okay, here are some important points from Victoria, things that I asked. She wanted me to explain that she was extremely nervous doing the live, and she had to drop a bomb on somebody else's behalf. So meaning for Tom, because she felt like she was speaking for Tom. Since Tom is in Scotland, she felt like she had to and should, because of what was being said. And she wanted to clear it up. And she was very nervous to do that. She said that this was her first time publicly speaking, and it wasn't a positive environment like she would have wanted it to be. Like, she was upset about having to have the first time she speak publicly over something like this, and not something that was actually positive and something that she would be happy about, something that she'd be comfortable with. I asked her about the car accident because some people weren't sure if it was real. That was all over the comments. And she told her she didn't need to send me anything. I was just asking her. And she sent me stuff, proof, multiple things of proof of the car accident, because one thing she claimed in the live is that she has speech issues because of a car accident and memory issues. And she was just saying that because there were so many comments about that. I felt bad that she felt she needed to send the proof, but seeing it made it like very clear, and I will say it was solid. Something that was really funny that she said when we were talking, she's like, I just want you to know that I'm Team Ariana. She's like, I hate what he did to her. I do not agree with what he did with her. I am 100% Team Ariana with that. And I know I'm taking a huge risk by being with him. He's considered by some as the most hated man in America. And when she said the Team Ariana thing and she looked at the phone, like dead at the phone, and my video was off, but just like, I felt like she was looking at me. I felt like she was just like, girl, I'm Team Ariana. And I felt it. Like, I'm like, okay, you get it. Like, she does not agree at all with what he did. And by the way, that came up several times about how much she doesn't agree with what he did. But I will say that in saying that, she was absolutely not on the Sandoval hate train at all. She was just like, I love him. I love who he is. And I do have to say, T, even though T had negative things to say about Sandoval, she definitely had some funny things to say about him. But she also did say, which is surprising, we'll get to it in the next episode, but while she was saying all the negative things, she was like, but he has a really good heart and he does really good things. And guys, that was weird to hear from somebody who is not like on the Vanderpump cast, and just somebody who definitely has no gain from him right now. In fact, she's kind of like going against him. So we're going against like what's being said, at least. Okay, back to Victoria. She's also said she would never say anything bad about Ariana, but she loves Sandoval and happened to, just like I said, fall in love with somebody who did something like this. She has not watched the show, by the way, and she's afraid to watch the show. And she said she did not and would not move Ariana's things because Billie had said that on her podcast, and she did not and would not move Ariana's things. That is not how the story went at all. There is more that she said, and again, I did not want to really get in the between of Billie Lee and her too much, because I feel like, I've said this before, I don't feel like they should have to talk about this publicly. Like, defend what has come out, but I hate that this was talked about at that level. One thing she did want to make clear is that the fighting that would happen, she says, between her and Tom were always because of either Billie Lee and situations involving Billie Lee, or Tom would say certain things in the media. And she said to him, you need to get a media trainer, because if you're going to have stuff like this that's being said, even though that's not how you mean it, even though people know that's not how you mean it, it makes you look bad. And if you're not going to say things the correct way, then you should be getting media training. She said he should be using other things as examples, and he is not speaking about things in the correct way. And she doesn't like that. And that's why she would be upset about certain things. She said she understands that people are going to say, oh, she needs a media trainer herself. Look at the live. Good point. But he's had years of experience, and she's had a job where she hasn't had to speak publicly because she's a model. She went into that a bit and just explaining like how her job is to basically stay quiet and not talk. And it's the complete opposite. And so she feels like by this point, he should know how to speak publicly. And I'm just going to step in as myself here, Ro, saying my opinion. Yeah, that's literally what we all say. So I could totally understand why she would be pissed about that. This is why I'm like, yep, valid point, valid point. She said one of the things that would upset her is like that Billie would walk in the house with a key and that she should be giving a warning, like especially now that she knows that he's in a relationship, that Billie shouldn't just be walking in the house with her key like while they're in the house and Billie just walks in. So that was something that they would argue about because she didn't like that. And she said to Tom, like, I wouldn't even walk into your house without letting you know, and I'm your girlfriend. Okay, I asked about the peeing during the live because people were like wondering what she did. And she said that she thought they were taking a break before the questions, that was the point where they were like supposed to be getting to questions. And she thought they were going to be taking a break before, and that Kyle's boyfriend, who was the one behind them, that everyone thought was the alien or whatever, whoever was holding them hostage, was like, no, go back. You're not done. Like, this is alive. You need to go back. And so she's like, oh shit. So she went and sat down. She thought they were getting a break. And she said that you might be able to see she was drinking coffee and water like the whole time. All right. Okay. And then the last thing before I get to like the timeline more is I asked about the wallpaper. And I said, the wallpaper in Ariana and Sandoval's house, that is Leonardo DiCaprio with a girl leaving Chateau. What is the Chateau? What hubs? What was the Chateau name? No, it's not Chateaubriand. Chateaubriand is like the steak that we had at our wedding. It's like Chateau Marmont or something. Hold on. I was correct. Chateau Marmont. So the wallpaper of Leonardo DiCaprio and the girl leaving Chateau Marmont, I asked if it was her. She said no. She's like, no. And then she's like, I don't think so. She's like, do people think it's me? I said, yes. You don't know? And she said no. And then, guys, she wanted me to send the picture. She's like, where? And I'm like, I have to find somebody. I don't remember if it was a Reddit or a creator who posted this picture of the girl of Victoria leaving Chateau Marmont with Leonardo DiCaprio. And they put it right next to the wallpaper. And it looks like it could be like a paparazzi taking a photo of them and then using that as wallpaper. And if anybody knows where it is, send it to me. And I will forward it to her, or you can send it to her. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the timeline. Now, what I'm going to say now, the timeline isn't just from Victoria. I had talked to people previously and I cross-checked because if you know me, you know I love a good timeline, right? Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, effing everything. I need it if you're willing to give. And they gave me timeline. I just asked questions because I just needed to make some sense of everything. March 19th was a planned intervention for Sandoval. Now, what I'm going to say now, again, I want to make this clear. This wording that I'm going to say is not from Victoria. It's from somebody else, okay? The intervention for Sandoval was, somebody is claiming that it was planned by Billie Lee. However, Billie Lee wanted Kyle Chan to be the one to let Sandoval know about the intervention because they thought that it would be more likely for him to come. And they think about, gosh, now I can't remember. They talked about this on the live. And then here's more I have added to it. They later felt, based off of things that they heard Billie Lee was saying, that was kind of like using Kyle Chan and making him look like he was the one who thought Sandoval had the problem when he didn't. Kyle Chan heard everything from Billie Lee and then was concerned about Sandoval from Billie Lee. But then it was found out, they believed that Billie Lee was lying. And everybody says they have proof, guys. That whole other side has proof. So the Kyle Chan, Victoria side, you know, the Billie Lee. And if you've seen T, she's been defending Billie Lee in the comments. She said that they have proof on, but I did not talk to Billie Lee. I want to make that clear. I did not talk to Billie Lee directly. but she's saying that they have proof, like Billie Lee has proof. So everybody's saying they have proof. Planned intervention was March 19th. On March 25th was the last time that Sandoval and Billie Lee talked. And I did think this part was interesting. That was the last time they talked because that was a day that apparently Sandoval heard whatever proof he needed to hear that Billie was lying. And so he stopped talking to her. The last text was sent by Billie. Oh, and let me say, I did not talk to Sandoval directly, by the way. Okay, in case any of you are wondering, I'm not making any calls to Sandoval over in Scotland. If I did, I would tell you. So it kind of sounds like he kind of like ghosted her, just stopped talking to her, and didn't really like directly tell her what was said and what he was upset about. But I'm not completely certain about that. I want to say that. But something else I want to say here, guys, I was hearing from a few people during this whole thing that I was talking to them, is that Sandoval likes being around people a lot. Like, he doesn't like being alone at all. And so any chance he could, he'll be around others. I thought that was interesting. And it definitely made some like new thoughts about everything kind of pop into my head that I'll save for the next episode, because I was just like, some realizations about like him. And also, it would make sense though, because Billie Lee, I kept saying to you guys, I'm like, Billie Lee seems hurt. Like, she seems very hurt. And we thought maybe it was about the baby thing. By the way, if you need to catch up with the whole story, I have on my page a playlist on TikTok, and on Instagram, I have a highlights that has like the whole kind of flow of everything that happened. But this checks out like with people. Remember, people were like, they noticed Billie Lee unfollowed Sandoval at some point. So I think because he stopped talking to her, she just kind of was like, what the F, and was upset, which obviously I feel for her in that way. Like, if she didn't know, I'm not really sure. But anyway, now let's get to tea. The tea with T. Like I said, I'm not going to share too much with T because she said she's going to be sharing it. And also there are some things that I'm going to share from her on my next podcast. So just going to bring up a few things from that side, because like you might have seen, Billie posted today that she's doing another podcast, and that is Wednesday, she said. So that will come out with, I'm sure, more information, because she said it will. I just hope it's not so dark, guys. I hate the dark. Anyway, something that was really important that T said to me is that the baby thing, this was what was confusing. The baby thing ended before Victoria even met Tom. So that's why she personally felt it was weird, because she was actually dating Tom at the time when the baby thing had ended. And so she didn't understand like why that was being brought up. She felt this was like really upsetting for Billie to be brought up, and it was just like a hard thing for Billie. So she was unhappy about that for her friend to have that out there. T also obviously said like what a good friend she felt Billie was to Sandoval, and that they were really close. And T believes it was solved in September, so that is much before what happened here. Oh, the other thing a lot of people were wondering about, and they kept bringing up about how it works for Billie Lee to have a baby with Sandoval using his sperm to have the baby. And I personally feel like, even though I received some answers on that, I don't want to share that. I feel like that's Billie's. So I'm sure Billie will explain that, because that is 100% her story. I'm sure that's very important to her. I don't feel like anyone else should be telling that unless she speaks on it. So anyway, I will share more in the next one, but that was a lot that I was thinking about releasing this as a separate episode, but I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for the Summer House and the Valley. I also still have to do Vanderpump Part 3 reunion, but I've talked about it so much that I feel like I have done it, even though I haven't. So we will be doing that on the next episode as well. Like I said before, like if you need more of the backstory, what happened, I didn't want this to be too long. I knew this was a lot of information. On my page, I have it, but if you really want me to do on the podcast, let me know. But also you can watch separately, like if you want to understand like what you would need to see, if you don't want just the clips, you can listen to Joe on Vanderpump Rules Party podcast. That was the first thing where she said that about Billie. And then you could watch Billie Lee's podcast that she had Joe on also. And that will have her share everything. And then you can watch the live, Up and Adam live with Kyle Chan and Victoria. And that will show you their responses back. So that's where everything was. And then plus all the information people gave me. I want to say that was really hard to do with all the different stories. So I'm sorry if that was just as confusing. Also, if this is the only part of the podcast you're listening to, trust me, it's not normally confusing like this. And it's a very different type of like tone and flow. And I'm usually doing it with somebody else. So definitely give the rest a chance and see. But hopefully, the thing you were able to take away the most was just like the answers that I got from people, and the whole like background of it and all that information is just like extra to provide context and just some opinions of very few opinions of what I think. And like I said, I'm waiting to hear more, waiting to see more, and just like hoping that people can keep things a little bit cleaner, because I don't feel like people need to go down this much. It's too much. Anyway, let's go back with Hubs to close out the podcast today. That was quite the episode, huh?
Heavy. I just went through a workout, I feel like.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, we're going to have more. Make sure you come back. Check us out. We're also going to be covering a little bit of Love Island because Ariana, starting tonight, because Ariana is going to be on that 6 nights a week. Well, the show is on 6 nights a week. I don't know how many times they're going to show her on the show. It's our first time watching a full season. We've only seen like parts because of Berkey. We watched a little bit of Berkey, but are you excited?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I've never really watched it before.
And she loves it. And also Aaron from Traders UK season 1 is on.
Yes, we loved him.
Oh my gosh, he was such a sweetie. I don't know if he's gonna be a super sweetie on here. He
Well,
seemed
he's like a jerk.
I know. No, but he was truly so great. And I'm like, please just stay that way. It's like this is what we keep saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, please make sure you give us a follow on the podcast. Give us a review if you want to leave a good one. Please.
Like those good reviews.
Don't only review us based off of this podcast if this is the only one you heard. I always say, like, give it a few before you review. Give it a few before you review. Ooh.
Put it on a shirt.
Put it on a shirt. Should that be our merch? You want to make merch?
Merch. Give it a few before you review.
Okay. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Lots there all the time that we then talk about on the podcast. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you later.
Later.